Sound the alarms, it is an emergency because we have to talk about indie animation. Specifically, we need to talk about indie animation that is so niche that it hasn't even gone viral. I know that everyone is super familiar with like a lot of bigger names going around in indie animation right now. We have Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss created by VivziePop. There's The Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones by Glitch Productions. Lackadaisy by Tracy J. Butler, Spooky Month by Senior Palo, even Big Top Burger by Worthy Kids, and more recently, Ramshackle by Zedzy, which, if you didn't know about that yet, you should go support it, because it's a newer pilot, it's really well done, the crew put a lot of love into it, and you should go check it out and show it lots of love. It deserves it. There is a good reason that these projects have gotten as popular as they are. They are made with lots of love by very passionate, talented, creative, brilliant minds. But with that being said, there are a lot of other projects that just kind of fly by and go under the radar just because not as many people have heard of them or their creators, and that is what I would like to talk about in this video today. We are going to go through a ton of very obscure, niche indie animations, pilots, short films, you name it. We're going through a ton of them, all suggested by my followers over on Instagram. If you would like to be able to submit feedback for videos like this, you should go check me out on Instagram, because I will often open polls or Q&As there where I take viewer suggestions for topics and recommendations for videos like this. Because before this video, a lot of these projects are things I'd never even heard of. To start us off, I'd like to go over 3 pilots that are all like semi-popular, but they're definitely not as mainstream as the first few I mentioned. We have Cliffside, created by Liam Vickers Animation in 2018, Long Gone Gulch, created by Lopside Animation in 2021, and most recently, Monkey Wrench, created by Joshua and Ashley Palmer in 2023. All 3 of these, I want to give them a big kiss on the mouth. That's not weird. It's a little weird. The animation in all 3 of these pilots is beautiful, gorgeous. Cliffside, I feel like no one talked about it when it came out, and I barely remembered it until someone on Instagram had recommended it upon rewatch. Oh my god, why did it not get more attention? It's so fun. The character designs are great. I love the like spider insect girl. I think she's like 100% internet girly material. We need to make this happen. Long Gone Gulch gives me super strong early Cartoon Network vibes, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, the animation is so clean, and the character designs they're so good. The shape language used to like build these designs, and they're all super animation friendly, just mwah, perfect. This is the kind of shit that I'm studying animation to see. Like, I am majoring in this in college because I love shit like this. And don't even get me started on Monkey Wrench. I'm pretty sure they've already produced episode 2, like, in the last few months. Monkey Wrench is gorgeous. Some of the prettiest, most fluid animation I've seen in indie productions. If you have not already seen Monkey Wrench, you're gonna go watch it right after this video, because I have some other amazing treats that we need to go over today. Before we get into a long list of recommendations from my followers over on Instagram, I would like us to start with one of the earliest examples of an indie animation going viral. Welcome to Hell is a senior graduate film created in 2013 by Erica Wester, who graduated from the Kansas City Art Institute. There was an HD remastered version uploaded in 2014, and it has been ingrained in animation history ever since. The HD remastered version has over 15 million views today. That one short film has amassed a fandom of its own. There's fan art, fan fictions, fan animations, all of this crazy shit, and they've only just recently begun working on a second short. It is something that every kid who now is going into school for animation, you remember watching it when it first came out. It's one of those things like you were there, and it influenced you and changed your brain chemistry for the next decade. Other notable early indie animations that I do want us to mention are Reversal of the Heart, created by Fiddlegriff Animation in 2011, The Maker, created by Zealous Creative in 2012, and Tales of Zale, created by Sif Savory in 2015, which is still ongoing. All these years later, like almost a decade later, they are still working on episode 2, and they are working on all of these amazing animated shorts. Tales of Zale has incredible character design. The animation's very fluid, it's very soft, it's like, beautiful comfort content. I really like the cat. I think he's like a mob boss, or he like leads a group of cats. I love that character design. He's so fun, and like watching the cats crowd around him, peak. We peaked. The Maker is something that is probably a bit less niche. I'm sure more of you are familiar with that one. It's stop motion animation. It's one of those early videos like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared or Salad Fingers that were like indie animation, but more in the horror genre. It's very spooky. All of the designs are very spooky. I really like it. I really like the masks of all the puppets. I think it's just beautifully done, and the storytelling, flawless. Flawless. Reversal of the Heart is probably the most obscure out of the three, but it's the one that I remember rewatching the most when I was a kid. I would play this like connecting YouTube to the TV in our living room, and I would play this as if it was just any other movie. It was a very good film, and it changed my brain as a child. I really like the storytelling. I don't think it has dialogue in it, so just all visual storytelling for most of the film. The character designs and the body language, and the character mass of the dragon is like consistent throughout. It's just, she looks so huggable. I want to squeeze her. I want to squeeze her like this. I love this animation. It's so beautiful, and I do wish people would talk about it more. Now we are going to be jumping into the long list of recommendations from people over on Instagram, including a bunch of short films and a large amount of indie animated pilots for like new web series stuff that's being produced. But one that I want to start us with is something that wasn't recommended, but I'm recommending it because I say so. My video, I say so. I'm your dad, and I recommend you to watch The Kid in the Camera. It was produced by Grumbled Animation in 2023. It's clay motion, and the animation uses very limited frames, but it's so good. It feels like it was ripped directly out of a nostalgic, like, early 2000s VHS tape that I would have gotten at my grandma's house, and we'd, like, put it in and watch it. Oh, it's so cozy. Until the end, because it is a horror film. Let me clarify, kids, because I know kids are probably watching this. This is a horror film. It is a horror short, so be aware of that. There's like no jump scares, there's no gore. It's very tastefully done, but the way that it slowly brings you into this sense of just unease and discomfort, and the way it slowly builds throughout up to that ending, beautiful. It is so well done. This is the kind of horror that I wish I could produce. Like, I am aware, I am the creator of an indie series that's been in the works for about 2 years, Welcome to Dreamworld. We've had Season 1, the ARG experience, like the game you can play here on YouTube. Now we're going into Season 2 this year. Like, Welcome to Dreamworld is, admittedly, it's more like sci-fi horror than like actual analog horror, and it's aimed primarily at like a younger audience, like people who would grow up people who would grow up reading the Goosebumps books. That's Welcome to Dreamworld's primary audience. Season 2 is going a bit darker, but that's because it's Season 2 and like the audience has grown up a bit at that point. But The Kid in the Camera is the kind of horror that is so raw that I just wish I would be able to tell a story with that type of horror someday. Because this feels like horror for all ages, done like beautifully. It is masterful, and there's so little but so much going on in this film at the same time. I don't want to say too much about the story because I want you to watch it, but I will give you a little synopsis. There's a kid and he gets a new camera as a gift, but then he's taking pictures outside and he breaks it. So he goes to bed at night, and then he's visited by a mysterious creature who I want to hold hands with, named the Kipsneed. And the Kipsneed says he'll fix his camera, and it goes from there. It goes from there. It's really good. The Kipsneed's character design, like when you get to the ending and you fully grasp what he's supposed to be, I love it. It's such a good character design. It's so effective. Like, he looks like a Muppet almost, which is perfect for what they're trying to do with this film. I'm done. I can't talk about it anymore because I'll spoil it for you, but definitely check it out if you haven't already. It is one of my favorite examples of indie animation. Another one of my personal favorites is South Scrimshaw, created by N.O. Marsh in 2023. Now, South Scrimshaw is technically not animated. It is actually a visual novel, and it is going to be a series of them because Part 1 was released in 2023, Part 2 is in the works right now. But the game is free to play, and you can also watch it as a documentary, like on YouTube, or just turning on the narration, and you can just watch it that way. It is one of the most beautiful things I have ever watched. The animation, it's limited because it's so long, like it's documentary length, and you can watch it like a documentary. It's about following the footage of these whales on an alien planet and watching how they grow and evolve, and you follow this one little whale and how he grows up alongside his mom and how they travel for a migration. The whales are so beautifully designed. Each whale like armors itself with different stuff depending on its environment or what it wants to adapt to become when it grows up. There's a whale that decorates itself in like foliage, flora, all these beautiful plants, and it looks like a floating island, like those guys from Subnautica, but like more greenery than that. And then there's also ones that decorate themselves in stones and armor and like shipwrecks. They're all so cool, and the designs are so eye-catching and detailed. I just wanted to mention this because I have talked about South Scrimshaw before, but apparently I didn't talk about it enough because, hey people, it hasn't gone viral yet, so go support South Scrimshaw, donate to N.O. Marsh, because again, this is free to play, free to download. I feel like it deserves as much support as we can give it. Now moving forward into the recommendations, the official list of stuff that I hadn't seen until you told me to watch it for this video. We are starting strong with The Earth Guy, created by Anna Animated in 2023. It is a pilot for a series. I believe episode 2 is out. It is very recent. This is probably one of the most recent ones on this list. It is an animated pilot, and to my knowledge, the entire episode, like for episode 1 at least, what I watched for this video, it was all animated by one person. So immediately any criticism I would have, I'm like, hands up. I'm like, you animated all of that shit by yourself. Okay, you win. Like, you win, bro. I cannot compete with that level of dedication to the craft. Like, there are some funny things here and there that remind me that I'm watching an indie production as we go through it. Like, specifically, I would like to mention that, like, about 2 minutes in, there's just Ouran High School Host Club fan art of the twins. And then, Hatsune Miku, is that you on the end of the horizon? Everywhere I go, I see her face. Everywhere I go. There are some backgrounds that look like a bit strange, like almost like they're images, but I'm not sure if they're images or if the artist who drew them is just so peak and muscular at drawing backgrounds that they just appear like photos. Either way, I think it works for what they're trying to do, and it's an indie production animated by one fucking person. So everyone stand up and give this one guy a round of applause, please, because how did they do this? When he's on his computer though, and he's like taking notes for class, it's the iPhone Notes app. Like, they clearly screen recorded the iPhone Notes app, but it's on a computer, which is not how that works. I'm joking, and I say it with love. Lots of love, because this is phenomenal. The story follows a human guy, the Earth Guy, if you will, and he gets yoinked up for some kind of alien program at this, like, school of a bunch of different alien species coming from like all over the galaxy, and they're going to be attending school here. That is the synopsis for the show. If you like a lot of very unique character designs, or especially if you're kind of into anime, because this does have kind of an like episodic school like anime vibe. If you're into that, I do think you would enjoy this, especially since it's recent and ongoing. Like, I think they already have episode 2 out, so if that's your vibe, definitely give episode 1 a watch. It's probably not for me, but I will say some of the character designs I really liked. Like the guy with the fire head, like the yellow head, he's my favorite character. In every one of these projects, I will find my favorite character, I will hold their hand like this, and we will just have a master list of indie animation characters Rainbot probably simps for, like, by the end of this video, and it's going to be fantastic. Dreamophrenia was created by Helios and RS in 2017, a bit earlier, but that is when the first episode came out, so I'm gonna say 2017. And the first thing I want to say about this is RIP to that JPEG of a mountain that just got whoosh, karate chopped in half in episode 1. I salute you, you will be missed, JPEG of a mountain. Like, what I was talking about with the last one, they use real pictures in this animation, like hybrid animation. They use real photographs and like images in the backgrounds and like as props and stuff, which, because it's an indie production, I don't have a problem with it, but it is very funny for some of the visual gags to see just like a real JPEG of a real mountain. The story for this one was a bit harder for me to follow. I only watched the pilot, but there are like about 10 episodes. Like, There are like 10 episodes at least, and you have to keep in mind the people making this series, I don't think that English is their first language, so you can watch the series in multiple languages, I think. I watched the English dub because I'm a loser, but from what I could gather in the English dub of episode 1, first of all, they use papyrus font a lot, which is... Honestly, I skipped ahead to like see how the animation improved over the years. They're still using papyrus font in episode 10, and at that point, I just have to applaud you for your dedication. Like, you didn't want to back down. You're sticking with papyrus font. That is admirable. Very admirable. I salute you, soldier. The plot for this one was a bit harder to follow, like I said before, but I believe it's about, like, reality shifting. Like a superhero, you can be a superhero by shifting into the dream world or, like, all these other universes by, like, when you sleep or when you meditate, you can go to other worlds and, like, be a superhero there or, like, have a different life there. And I think all of the characters are from, like, different universes, and I think that the main one is like a superhero and they probably go to fight bad guys. I am not sure. This one is not, again, super not up my alley, but I know there is an audience for it. There is definitely an audience for it, because just watching the intro with that like screamo early 2000s DeviantArt like energy and the like screaming in the music, it reminds me of like early Invader Zim and like all the early DeviantArt stuff, like, or early 2000s Hot Topic. Like, it's very nostalgic for me to see something like this, especially seeing that the intro is still the same on episode 10 and they're still going strong to this day. They've been working on this project for years, and that deserves a round of applause. I think that it has a lot of potential, and I feel like just for the fact that I can see how much love goes into this project, I have to recommend it. Most of the things in this video, I have to recommend it. For Dream of Phrenia, I didn't really have a favorite character, unfortunately. I think this is like one of the only ones where I didn't. But I did really like the JPEG of the mountain. I'm not dissing it. Genuinely, that made me laugh insanely hard. You can do such strong visual gags with hybrid animation, so I've only watched, like, the majority of the pilot. I've only watched episode 1, but I hope if the series does decide to lean into the hybrid thing and continue using images as the series progresses, I hope you take advantage of that, because you're doing a plot where your characters canonically travel to different universes. Not only can you do those different worlds and different art styles, but you could lean into the hybrid animation. I want to see more of the funny, like, JPEG stuff being manipulated, because even if some people would be like, oh, that's just a quirky thing because it's an indie production, no, you could do a lot with that. You should lean into it. It would make your work, like, stand out more. And if that's not the vibe you want, then maybe you can just remaster the earlier episodes later. But seriously, I love that mountain. He's my favorite character from this one. Learning to Float is an animated short film created by Faircy in 2023. It is about a sea dragon fisherman trying to make it as, like, a fisherman who lives in a mostly human city. It's very short, and I don't want to spoil the entire, like, 7-ish minutes by just info dumping the plot here, but I will say that the themes in this one were just very good. I loved the themes, I loved all of the visual storytelling, the character designs and the character acting in this are fucking phenomenal. It is beautifully done. My favorite character in this is the red sea dragon you see kind of at the end. I think they are a little goober, a little guy, and I enjoy them greatly. It is very well animated. I think it might have been a student film, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but it is just phenomenal. Just go watch it. It reminds me a lot of those, like, Pixar animated shorts that people look back really fondly on. It's that sort of quality, what you're looking at. And it has a lot of themes about, like, being the odd one out. I think some themes almost about, like, immigration, I want to say, but I am not 100% sure, and I don't want to just go, oh, well, this is my interpretation of the film, so obviously this is correct. No, I think you should watch it and take away your own ideas, but I really like it. I like it a lot. Shave Your Head, created by Celador in 2023, is another animated pilot, which I think they've also released episode 2 for this series, even though it was only created in 2023. This pilot, out of all of them, is one of my favorites, and I am going to rewatch it, and I'm going to watch episode 2 after this video is done. It is the same thing I was saying before, very grunge, early 2000s vibe. It gives me, like, that, like, gritty style you see in, like, some projects like Sally Face, almost, and I mean that in such a good way. It is so good. It is very strong writing, because this one isn't as reliant on the animation, because it was animated by one artist. Again, all animated by one person, which is insane. It is insane that this was animated by one person, and you're already on episode 2. Like, you, and I think Earth Guy was the other one animated by one artist. Yeah, Earth Guy. I had to check my notes. Shave Your Head, Earth Guy, animated pilots, both made recently, animated by one artist, and they're both already on episode 2. I would never be as powerful as you are. You guys are the kings. You win. Shave Your Head, I really like. It's very cozy, almost like comfort content for me. It's very funny. The dialogue is really witty, because this show, it's much more reliant on the writing than the visuals. It's a very dialogue-heavy show, and it's really good. The dialogue is very sharp, it's witty, it's funny. I was laughing out loud while I watched the pilot, and I think this is one of the only times that I was like laughing out loud throughout this binge of like indie animated projects. And I love the design of the characters. Shout out to JJ the ghost who just talks with subtitles, because their voice, it's muffled like this and it's really hard to understand what they're saying, but then they just have like subtitles that translate the like muffled gibberish talk, and it's literally just a sheet ghost with a hat, I think. That's my favorite out of Shave Your Head. We're adding him to the list of Rainbot's favorite characters. I adore them. It is really fun. I'm definitely gonna go watch episode 2, and like, I had a friend review these animations with me. Shout out to my friend Olive for like sitting on my dorm floor at midnight watching all of these indie animations with me. This was Olive's personal favorite, and she wanted me to tell the audience that it was her personal favorite. So everyone, this was Olive's personal favorite. Shave Your Head. I'm looking forward to this as a series. I really like this one, and I think it has a lot of potential, especially with the writing.
Liam, dude, we just got robbed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the guy had a gun.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Am I gonna get fired, though?
No, you're not fired. I'm gonna have to call the police, though.
Jeez, this sucks.
Shit happens. Just be glad no one got hurt.
Yeah, whatever. I just have terrible luck.
I almost got into a wreck on my way here. I think today is just unlucky.
Yeah, today is just stupid. So, like, can I go home?
I thought you said you were okay.
Actually, I'm kind of shaken up. It was pretty scary. Dude, you know I get weird around cops.
Set Sail for Candy is an animated short created by Julian V. Parrish in 2023. By the way, if I'm butchering any of the names in this video, especially the like non-English names, I'm sorry, because I'm stupid. Set Sail for Candy is an animated short, but I'm mad that it's an animated short because I wish this was a pilot. I know a lot of the projects we're going through today are pilots for like indie animated shows, and most of them are fairly niche, unknown shows. I get it. Set Sail for Candy is one of the few that's a short, but it's the rare case where I want this to be a pilot. The characters are so good, and the writing is so good, and the animation, this was like, I think this had to be the best animation I'd seen out of all of the indie animation I watched, including some of the like big names. It is beautifully animated. It is so fluid. Like, it feels like if Studio Ghibli was contracted to make a Cartoon Network show. It is so pretty. It's so fucking pretty. It is so good, and I love the characters. The rabbit character with like the funny pink ears and stripes, it's my favorite, but I really like the boss too, so I'm actually tied. I think the boss might be my favorite just because it's so funny. Like, a fucking penny like falls out of one guy's pocket and he derails the entire mission to go crawling, scuttling across the floor after the penny. It's so good. The short is about a group of three people that work on a delivery service, and they deliver stuff like magical items they deliver on a boat. And it's just they get an order for some very magical candy and they have to deliver it, and shit goes wrong. And it's so good. It's so good. You need to watch it. Most of these you should watch after this video is done, because I'm not done. There's still more. We gotta go through a ton more. Bring Your Demon to Work was created by Hannah Daigle in 2019 because it was originally an animated short about, like, Satina, just the girl, but then it was eventually conceptualized into a pilot a few years later. This one is a bit less niche because it's very popular and pretty well known within, like, the animation community online, but I have to talk about it because it's still pretty underrated. It's a lot of fun. The character designs and the animation in this show are incredibly strong. They are very good, and I love Dave. He's so fun. I love that just sad human man is our protagonist. Because, okay, the pilot, like the first episode, not the pilot, episode 1 is about this guy named Dave. He had sex with the devil canonically. He's so real for that, by the way. So they have a kid, and he needs to take the kid with him because it's Father's Day, but he has to go to work, and he has, like, all this stuff to do at work, but he can't just get a babysitter because then his daughter, Satina, would be really sad, so he takes her with him to work. Shenanigans ensue. It is glorious. I think there's a second episode. There either is one or it's in production. It's really good. I'm probably gonna rewatch this after this video as well, along with Set Sail for Candy, because I need more of that, and it's so beautiful. This is the kind of stuff I wish we were, like, studying when we're in creative writing classes, because the writing for Bring Your Demon to Work is so tight, and it's so good, and it feels professionally produced. Even the way it's animated feels professionally produced. I love it, and while Dave is definitely my favorite character, just because it's funny watching him eat shit over and over again, Lucia is hot, and I think that gives her some bonus points, and we should all acknowledge the fact that Lucia is extremely hot, and Dave canonically had sex with the devil. No Evil, created by Betsy Lee in 2012. She has been working on this project for over 11 years, and I have been invested ever since I found it. This show, it's all animated by one person, Betsy Lee. She animates the whole show. I put this on the list myself. Someone on Instagram did recommend it, so that's also why it's here, but if no one on Instagram recommended it, I would be recommending it. Betsy Lee is a goddess. She has been animating this entire series by herself for 11 plus years. Why is there a train outside? And I love it. I understand. Like, it's a bit slow at first because it was just initially a few animated shorts. The first one's, like, barely connected to the rest of the show because it was just one short. And then Betsy's like, oh, I can expand upon this a bit. Let's add some lore. Let's add some other characters. By the time we're at, like, episode 10, or even earlier than that, there's a whole plot going, and it's insanely good. It made me feel the same way I felt when I was a little kid, like watching season 1 of Ninjago for the first time. It's like that kind of, the train! It's that kind of vibe, and it's so... and it's so good. Quetzalcoatl, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's my favorite character from this show, and I mean that, like, he's one of my comfort characters ever. I'm obsessed with him. I love him. I love this show. It's so funny. The characters are so good. The designs are so good. The train is back! You guys, I gotta go to... the fucking train! You guys, I gotta go to class in, like, 5 minutes. And the train has been going for, like, 10 minutes. I think I'm gonna have to continue this... Motherfucker! I think I'm gonna have to continue this discussion tomorrow. So, while the train rages on outside, allow me to skip us to the next day, where I will continue talking about indie animation for an extended period of time. It is now the next day. It is tomorrow for me, still the same day for you, unless you have a time machine, and if you do, why are you not sharing? Okay, so No Evil, created by Betsy Lee in 2012. Masterpiece. Beautiful. I love it. It makes me feel like a child again watching this series progress. I love how the lore like slowly builds. I love all of the world building. I like all the characters and all of the names that I'm too stupid to pronounce. Quetzalcoatl is my favorite, and that is why I'm pretty sure he is the only name that I can just remember off the top of my head. I would protect that boy with both of these fists. Add him to the favorite character list. Add him on the list right here, which I will probably forget to add in post. This was probably one of my favorites out of all the ones we watched. I know that this is a lesser known series out of like some of the ones we're going through today, but it's still ongoing to my knowledge, and there are actually a few episodes I haven't even seen yet, so you know, after this video, I'm gonna be adding that to my watch list, and I'm gonna be strolling up to the club like, I'm here to watch the new episodes of No Evil. What's up, bro? And then I'm gonna be the only one in the theater, but you bet your fucking ass I'm gonna be the most excited person in that theater. I'm gonna be like, let's go! Like, the whole fucking time. I love the animation. I love the style. Like, the animation, it's all done by Betsy Lee. You can tell it's all done by the one person, but just watching how she's progressed over the last like 11 plus years and how much time and love she puts into these videos, it's just, it brings me to tears. It is a masterful work of art. I wish I could have that devotion and that passion and that drive for just one story. It is so admirable that I feel like that alone should be a reason for you to check it out if you haven't already seen it. Hugo's Mind Palace, created by Alistocrat in 2023. It is another animated pilot, and I don't think that this series has continued yet, but I must say, I adore the direction that it's going. I really like the character designs, and I say that about a lot of these, I know, but I really like OKKO, and I'm a big fan of a lot of like earlier Cartoon Network shows, and I like those like made for TVA, like TV animation character designs. This feels like it could have been one of those pitches for like Cartoon Network pilots, like right next to Infinity Train and OKKO. Like, it feels like it would be locked in with some of those others. That's how nice quality it is, and I just really like the writing. I like the bunny guy. Bunny guy, once again, is my favorite character, and I don't remember if it's explicitly said in the pilot, but I like the detail that the bunny guy's one eye is the same purple color as Hugo's like third eye, so I feel like they're linked in some way. I think that's a very nice piece of visual storytelling, because maybe I'm stupid and I'm saying this and they literally have an exposition dump in the pilot that I just forgot that explains this, but especially if it's not explained, nod to you, applause. I really like that little detail. It gives me strong Saturday morning cartoon vibes. Literally, like, this feels like something I would watch before or after school on a weekday. It's really nice. The story is about like this group of people. They work and they run a shop. They need to go on these little magical quests to retrieve items and rare magical conduits that they sell in their shop. It's kind of like, this is going to be the most horrible comparison I've ever made on this channel. It's going to be so cringe, but just bear with me because this is the easiest way to explain it. So if you've ever seen the hit Pixar movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet. In Ralph Breaks the Internet, there's this like B-plot where they need to raise money for eBay. God, I fucking hate this movie. I forget how bad it is every time, and then I just relive the traumatic flashbacks. There's a plot where they need to raise money for eBay, so what they do is they go to the black market, like online, and they essentially have to collect items for money, like video game items from all these different worlds and websites, and then selling them to real people gives you money. In Hugo's Mind Palace, the characters work for a shop and then they have to go out to get these different items in different worlds, in different universes. They have a literal zipper that they zip open for the portal, which I fucking love, by the way. And they zip it open and then they go to other worlds to retrieve these items that they can then sell, like a pawn shop, but for magical oddities from other realms. So it's kind of like that. I really like it. It feels like out of a lot of these projects, a big handful of them are like webcomics or pre-existing stories that are adapted for like animation, which I understand. Like Lackadaisy was a webcomic before it became an animated series, and I believe that the next one on the list is also a webcomic adaptation we're about to discuss. This one feels like it could be a webcomic, and I mean that like slash positive. That is one of the highest compliments I can give a piece of animated media. I really like it, and I would want to own all 20 fucking issues of that comic. I love it. Our Spellbinding Lies, created by Red Balance in 2023, is the next pilot on our list, and it is a webcomic adaptation. I don't know if this counts as a pilot per se, because it's an adaptation of the webcomic, but it starts like in the middle of the webcomic. Like, you have to do reading. Like, this comes with required reading, this comes with homework. To follow the plot, you get this giant exposition of, like, world building and lore up front, like a giant recap, like previously on Dragon Ball Z, but it's for this animation on YouTube. And I think that they're recapping the webcomic, and because in the description it's like, okay, so if this animation does really well, we'll go back and tell more of the story from the comic. So I'm assuming that's what they're doing, but I could not for the life of me follow it. I feel really bad that I couldn't follow it, and I don't have a lot to say about Our Spellbinding Lies just because it's clearly not for me, and I did not have time to read the comic because I only had time to review all these animations for the video. I do think that there's an audience for this, and the art style is strong, the animation is very nice, it's very smooth, and it has like a lot of details. Like for an indie animation, those designs, very detailed. This art style, very detailed, and it's very nice, very pretty, very shiny. I think that a lot of people, especially like even people in my audience, I think you would like it, but I don't have a lot to say about it. This is also one of the few I don't have a favorite character from, just because like I couldn't follow it very well. And I understand why people would want to do an animated adaptation of a webcomic. Like, I do 2 webcomics. I have Heroes of Destiny and Spellmania. Those are my 2 main webcomics, and to get people interested in them, sometimes I will do comic dubs of the chapters. And Spellmania's webcomic, it's like a reverse of this, because the Spellmania webcomic takes place after the 3-episode miniseries on YouTube, so technically you're supposed to watch the web series before you read the comic, but the comic also has the prologue, which can act as like a little recap. But if you go in without reading the prologue, you'll still probably manage okay. We haven't released anything beyond the prologue yet because chapter 1 is in the works, but you can still like jump in and read each chapter individually. You will still be able to pick up what's going on. I am making very sure of that, so it's not required reading, but if you want like that extra bit of lore and spice, it's something you could know as extra, and it's pretty cool. But for this one, I'm not getting that vibe. Like for Binding Lies, it feels like a lot of the stuff in the info dump at the front, I feel like a lot of that is required reading, because it doesn't seem as episodic. It seems like a very lore-focused series. So with that being said, if you are really into like super complex stuff or even more like anime-esque animation, I do recommend this one because it's recent and it has a whole webcomic to check out. So if it's not for me, I know it's definitely for someone, and I'm still plugging it, still promoting it. Check it out. We have now reached my favorite animation of the entire video. I've said that about multiple ones. I was lying every time. This was my favorite one. Gamecade, created by NCS Artist in 2024. My favorite one. That's the only bullet point note I have on my list. Like, I have a list of bullet points with facts and like character information for each of these videos. The only bullet point for Gamecade is just my favorite one in all caps. It is an animated short that follows the adventures of this little cat who works in an arcade, I think in a shopping mall. It doesn't really matter, but he works there and he needs to solve a mystery of where all of these quarters are going, because one of the machines seems to be faulty, but the arcade owner is like, our machines aren't faulty, fucking bitch. Like, so now he has to figure out where all of the quarters are going and why they're going missing and why the machine is eating them. So he gets a lead, and then the short follows his adventures trying to figure out where all of the quarters are going. All of the characters are really good. My favorite character is the Mantis guy. I love him very dearly. He just, look at him and you'll probably know why. He just kind of has the Rainbot aura. Like, I can just respect a man with that vibe. But the animation, oh my god, the animation. This is the kind of mixed media animation that I really like. The characters will just randomly make the funniest fucking faces, and then there will be random elements that are very, like, hybrid animation mixed media. We get a live action sequence of the cat trying to put a quarter in one of the machines, and then my other favorite gag is like when he reacts to something and then his face just goes into like a real cat image. I can't say anything about it because it's like 4 minutes long and it's just the one short. It's not a pilot, it's just the one short. Make it a show. Make it a show. I will pay you to let me voice act for this show. Like, bro, I want to see this greenlit more than almost anything else. Like, there are a few others that I would definitely be like, that needs to be a thing. This is the one I say it for the most. This, and I think Set Sail for Candy, these two, make them shows. I know they're animated shorts. I know that. They have so much potential. They are so good. They're so funny. They're both so funny. Make them shows. Make it happen, YouTube. Please. I wonder what character I would be in the Gamecade world. Like, what would my Gamecade Sona look like? Someone draw a Rainbot as a Gamecade character. Like, what kind of animal would that be? I think I'd be an axolotl or just a robot. And it's not an animal, it's just a fucking robot. So just go watch it. That one, the only thing I can say is just go watch it, because the only way I could review it here is just by listing all of the jokes and why they're funny, but that's boring, so just go watch it. Time to take a completely left turn, tone shift wise. It's Such a Beautiful Day, created by Don Hertzfeldt in 2012. Why did you have to recommend this film to me? Because now I am sad. It is a surreal, abstract piece about dementia, I believe, and it's 30 minutes long. It's a short film. It was showing at a lot of festivals. It's now very hard to find online, but you can find it. I do know because I watched it illegally. Yeah, but if there's any way to watch it without pirating it, let me know, because I think you can buy a copy for like $30. I might buy the copy for $30. That's how good this film is. It affected me in a way that not a lot of animated media has. It's the same kind of experience you get listening to The End of Time or whatever that like 10-hour song soundtrack made to depict the phases or stages of dementia. It's that experience, but like wrapped into a 30-minute film with just the most raw visuals. Like, there's some real footage and photographs. A lot of it's like the scribbly pencil-drawn animation, and it's very simple visuals, but the storytelling is so effective. I felt like I got stabbed, man. I felt like I got fucking stabbed. My emotions are leaking all over the floor. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful film, and I'm trying to smile so I don't look awful for my YouTube headshot. But, bro, just talking about it, I don't have words to describe how that film made me feel. It's a heavy one, so you can skip this if you're not prepared for that kind of stuff. It's admittedly a bit less indie than like some of these other ones, so you can skip it if you're not ready for something that's super heavy in that topic, like, or you're sensitive to dementia and stuff like that. But holy fuck, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie, and I do recommend it if you are in the headspace to watch something like that. If you aren't, then I'd skip this one. Speaking of shows that are like kind of indie animation, but also kind of not really at the same time, I want to give a shout out to The Gregory Horror Show, a Japanese CGI anime created by Naomi Iwata. I butchered that name, I'm sorry, but the anime was created in 1999. It was suggested by a viewer over on Instagram, which got me excited because I'm like, oh, The Gregory Horror Show, I haven't watched that since I was in middle school. I have fan art of Judgment Boy buried somewhere on my Instagram page. I don't know if it's archived or if it's still out there, but it exists and it will forever be my shame. But I wear that shame as a proud badge today because I need to tell you guys that The Gregory Horror Show fucking rocks. It is a very good anime. I don't like anime, fun fact. I've only watched like 4 in full, and the other ones I've watched I just normally do not like. I do not like a lot of anime, but this like CGI anime that looks like a poorly rendered early PS4 game or even like a Roblox game with kind of shit models, like perfection. I watched the whole thing and I would watch it again. It is very fun. It's an indie animated series, according to some sources. I cannot confirm or deny this, though. Like, it was produced by Melky Cartoon, but, you know, it aired on TV, and I feel like that makes it a bit less indie, but at the same time, it's just because it came out in 1999, so it probably aired on TV instead of, like, going to film festivals because it was a series. But I'm not sure if this counts as indie animation, but since someone recommended it, and I am very fond of this show, I'm like super nostalgic for it, I do have to recommend it. Judgment Boy is the MVP. Obviously, he is my favorite character on the list. Add him to the list. I love him. His entire deal is just that he comes up to you and presents the most fucked up moral quandaries imaginable, and then just expects you to answer. And I believe in some way there was an interactive element, or there was some kind of game that ties into the anime, because the Game Grumps have a playthrough for this series on their channel, and I've never watched the Game Grumps playthrough, so I don't know if it's exactly the anime or if it's like something else, but Judgment Boy just comes up to you, gives you these fucked up questions like, if your girlfriend turned into a worm, would you really still love her? Or are you just saying that so she stops talking? And then, like, he weighs your heart over, like, money or something. And then every single time he's like, no, you say heart, but I know you're a dick. Anyways, and then he just fucks off. Like, I love you, Judgment Boy. You are an icon in this generation. A few honorable mentions of other indie animations that I want to go over, but I didn't have time to do like a full review for all of these, so I just have a list of some other ones that I highly recommend you check out. And some of these are like classics, 1 or 2 of them, but most of these are very recent that came out in the last like 2 years or so. For instance, Hell to Pay, created by Miss Ellie Gone in 2023. Fueled is a short film created by Killed the Cat Productions in 2021. Becky Prim was created by Carl Hadrika in 2016. Twins in Paradise, created by Vune in 2020, which that one got a bit more traction than some of the others, but I'm still recommending it because it's just that good. Hullabaloo, created by James Lopez Animation in 2023. The Life of Death, created by Marsha Ondershin in 2016. I Am Fish, created by Junctur in 2022. The Green Between, created by Haughty Art in 2020. The Dead Shift, created by Zatdot in 2022. And last but certainly not least is The Red Eclipse, created by Insane Incorporated in 2023, which, out of this list, that's probably my favorite, and I recommend that one the most for anyone who wants to go into animation. It's just a bunch of supervillains sitting around a table talking how they're gonna take out their nemesis, like their shared enemy, and all of the supervillains are animated in different art styles. This animation is not for kids, let me clarify, it's for adults, but oh, the animation is beautiful. It needs to be studied by anyone who wants to pursue a career in animation. It's very nice. So if you are a fan of indie animation, there's your entire list. This entire video has just been a giant list of projects and videos that you can check out, a ton of animated pilots and short films, all of this stuff. Most of it is very recent, like in the last few years or so. A lot of these have come out in like 2022, 2023. A few even came out this year, 2024. So the world of indie animation is a lot bigger than just like the main few that most people commonly associate with the term. Like, not everything's going to go mainstream. I know that. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be indie independent animation, like, would it? But for those of us who are really passionate about it, there is a lot more that we could be exploring, and I feel like those smaller projects deserve to be talked about. With that being said, I'm not done. Don't fucking leave yet. I'm not done. We still have to go through a list of some capstone films that were recommended to me by fellow students here at the Savannah College of Art and Design. The animated films I am producing or have produced, and then last but not least, we are going to end on a feature-length film indie animation. It's like an hour and a half long, and it is the reason that I wanted to make this video. So we are not done yet, and let's go through that next list now. I am unbuttoning my shirt for this portion of the video because I gotta get locked in, and I'm also putting on a hat because if I'm not dressed like I'm someone's father, then I'm not putting my entire animation ussy into this video. We need to cut that out. We need SCAD capstone films. Every animation school, or at least colleges and universities with like animation majors, normally they have you do a senior film or like a thesis film as your, well, thesis, like a final project. I go to SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design, and because I go to SCAD and I'm pitching for capstone right now, I just wanted to give some of my homeboys a shout out. I just want to shout out some very popular SCAD capstone films that you may or may not have heard of. For instance, The Legend of Pee-Pee is, I think it's technically an indie film, but I saw them playing it on the screens at the animation building this week, and it's also kind of a capstone film, like before the animation chair decided to punch everyone in the dick by giving us a bunch of hard guidelines to follow this year. The Legend of Pee-Pee is like a little animated short about a scrawny little cat that wants to be a knight, so he goes on a quest to save a princess. There's also some other films like Desert Mayhem Overdrive, The Sun is Bad, and Clicker. Clicker is one of the more recent ones. I remember it from last year, I believe. Now that it's done touring around film festivals, along with some other capstones, you should be able to watch these online, here on YouTube most likely. Clicker is one I have a soft spot for, just because I am very passionate about hybrid mixed media animation. That's also why another one I really like is Out of the Inkwell, and Piece of Cake and Lucky Boy. Lucky Boy I really like. Piece of Cake I accidentally walked into the production classroom of like multiple times last year at SCAD. Not last year, maybe the year before. I don't know, I just kept walking through their classroom and I would see all the renders and I'm like, no, I'm spoiling it for myself. Lucky Boy is one I hadn't heard of until I was like researching indie animations for this video, but it's about like this sock puppet, I think. Absolutely peak cinema. I really like all of the punk mixed media vibes that they have in that film. The other capstone that's coming out this year is Teaser Trailer, which is being produced and directed by one of my friends, JJ. Hi, Genjamin. I know you watch my YouTube channel. Hats off to you. I did some cleanup animation for Teaser Trailer, which may or may not be playing on screen during this section of the video. It helped me like flex my animation muscles a bit when I was trying to work on the Epilogue of Endings, which is my animated pilot that we will be talking more about coming May 5th. So stay tuned for that. Teaser Trailer, I don't know if it's coming out on YouTube this year or if it's going to tour at festivals and then go online, but if you want something you can watch now, you can check out Pause, which is the short film that I produced last quarter. You can watch it here on YouTube, or you can also watch the full film on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I like to post funny little updates over there. I'm also currently producing another animated SCAD film called Baked with Love, which is in development right now and will be done by the end of this quarter. And then I am pitching The Showstoppers, which is like a hybrid animation film very heavily inspired by the works of Jim Henson and Craig McCracken, who there will be a sequel to this video that more heavily focuses on Craig McCracken, so also stay tuned for that. I have that in the works. If you want to hear more about my capstone pitch and some of the other films I've been producing at my college, go ahead on to Instagram and you can read the logline. You can see all of my pitch artwork and the poster and the character designs. I've been working really hard on it, so I would really appreciate if you'd support my pitch so more people would like to vote for it, because then I can spend my senior year making a very funny little cartoon. Hello, everyone. If you are still watching at this point in the video, we are about to introduce the reason why I wanted to make this video about indie animation. We are about to discuss the film that I watched and the film that changed me so much that after thinking about it for months, I have finally decided to make a video about animation, indie animation, just so I can talk about this one film. We are about to get into that. However, that's the video. You're watching this video right now. You're watching me make it. That's so silly. Meta fourth wall break aside, though, because this is going to be a long one. Before we talk about the reason I wanted to make this video, I would like to take a quick 5 to 8 minute detour to talk about all of the SCAD films that I just briefly went over, because I go to school here, and if you're interested in going to an animation school or an art school, because I know a lot of my viewers are younger and are pursuing animation as a passion and are probably going to be in my shoes someday, so with that being said, from all of my fellow indie animation lovers and animation lovers in general, I want to take a quick detour to vent some frustrations about SCAD's hypocrisy when it comes to not only just animation, but also SCAD capstone films in general. You can skip this part if you want to, by the way. It's totally not required viewing, but if you are going into this industry someday, or you're considering going to SCAD as a school, you might want to just sit down for the next 5, 6, maybe longer minutes. Otherwise, just skip ahead until you see me talking about animation back in that funny chair again. What's the word? Not acclaimed. Not hypothetical. What's the word when you want to say something mean about somebody, but you don't want to get sued? Alleged. The word is alleged. Okay, so this information is all alleged because I literally just heard it from fellow students, and I am also currently a junior. Hi, everybody. Hi, my fellow juniors. It's Capstone Pitch Week. Ooh, I'm currently pitching the showstoppers for Capstone, so we gotta wait and see if people vote for it. If you are watching this the week it comes out, vote for the showstoppers, baby, because I want to be a producer one day, and I would love to produce a Capstone film. But with that being said, if you're a SCAD professor or one of the people running the school, you should stop watching right now, because I don't want to get expelled for saying this, but it's kind of bullshit that when I was hanging these posters up at the school, that in the animation building, they were playing The Legend of PP on the SCAD TVs in the lobby. So like when you walk in, the first thing you see is The Legend of PP, and they didn't play it once. Like they didn't cycle through a few different films throughout the day. I'd been hanging posters for hours on Friday. They played it like for hours looping, because when I got there, it was The Legend of PP. When I was leaving hours later, it was The Legend of PP. When I left my folder of posters and then came back from my dorm room and like went back to the fucking animation building to pick up the folder from where I left it on a bench in the lobby, Legend of PP was still playing, and it had also been playing the day before that when I was going to class in the animation building. So for 2 days on loop, they played this film in the lobby of the animation building, and there's no doubt that they've played it other times. Here's the thing, that would be fine. That would be fine. Like, it's a SCAD capstone film. You want to show the capstone film to other students, current students in the animation building. That's fine. Except it's not fine, because the animation chair and everyone running the animation department have put a fuck ton, I'm not going to apologize for swearing because it's true, a absolute fuck ton of limits on the capstones. And it's partly because of projects like The Legend of PP, because the producer or director, again, I'm not 100% sure which, and this is all alleged because I just heard it through the grapevine of fellow students. So if I'm wrong, flame me. But what I heard was that the director almost got suspended or expelled because they broke so many rules making that film. They got a ton of extra help. They got help from like industry animators and industry artists. Like they did all this shit that you are not supposed to do. It's a big no-no from the animation chair. And their film is also like 9 minutes long, which, you know, like a year or two after The Legend of PP came out, they just happened to put a very hard limit on SCAD capstone films and how long they could be. Like,
they used to be like you could be pretty much any length. Like I was rewatching a bunch of the old Capstone films, and most of them would range from about 4 minutes to 7 minutes. Normally, some would be like 2 or 3, but most were in like the 4 to 5 minute range. And then the animation chair strolls up, like, all right, I'm gonna set a rule in place, guys. Your film has to be 3 minutes, including credits. It has to be exactly 3 minutes, and if it's not exactly 3 minutes, you are disqualified. I feel like he had some beef, especially if he almost expelled the students who made the film. And they will present to us. They will present films to us. Like when we were all at a big presentation to learn about how to pitch for capstones, they spent like an entire hour telling us how to pitch for capstone. And they were like, you don't want to have extra help. You don't want to have extra help from any other students. It's a big no-no. Getting extra help from other students means that you guys are like incapable of finishing the film by yourself. And then they would also immediately turn around and be like, okay, now that I've said that, here is The Sun is Bad, which is one of the most popular and award-winning SCAD capstone films. Isn't that incredible? Completely not acknowledging the fact that Sun is Bad had a fuck ton of extra help, and that helped make the film process not only smoother, but like better for everyone involved. All of the capstone films from SCAD that not only perform the best online, but also win the most awards at festivals are the ones that break all of the rules that SCAD sets up. So I know I wanted to take a quick detour to talk about SCAD capstone films because I go to school here. This is going to be my life someday. This is my future job, but it's kind of fucking bullshit. And I'm really glad that we're having an animation guild strike this summer because if the people in charge of corporate positions, like even the guy who's our animation chair, sometimes like it's smart to have limits sometimes, but the way he's like got the capstone system in a chokehold right now, like the runtime's just part of it. And on one hand I understand, but on the other hand, I feel like if SCAD releases only films that are exactly 3 minutes in 3 years and we only produce 3 minute films by the millisecond, and we have to show those at like festivals, unless we make extended cuts of these films, which is like, breaking the rules, we're gonna look like clowns next to like CalArts and all these other people who are doing incredible films of like all these different lengths. Like some of the best CalArts films I watched, not only for this video, but for like just in general, because I like animation, those were like a variety from like 2.5 minutes to 5 to 9 or 7 minutes long. There's a variety, and you can tell a variety of different stories when you have a variety of like parameters that people can fill in. Limiting what your students can create is not only going to limit what your school produces, it's also going to make you look fucking silly because the only thing that SCAD will be capable of producing are 30-second to minute-long films from the collaborative classes, and then exactly 3-minute-long films. And then if students go out of their way to make an extended cut, do things they're not allowed to do outside of class by making an extended cut, and then submit that to film festivals, if the extended cut performs insanely well, you know for a fucking fact that it's going to wind up playing on a SCAD TV somewhere in the animation building, as if they did not refuse to let the students make that longer version of the film. They're going to be like, yep, all us here at SCAD. It's all us, baby. Legend of Pee-Pee, that was one of ours. Like, no, it fucking wasn't. Shut up. Like, I'm gonna get fucking expelled if I ever meet the animation chair, man. It's over for me. Anyway, vote Showstoppers because I want to make a funny cartoon and hopefully not break 50 rules doing it.
Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, or at least the moment I've been waiting for, I would like to take a few minutes of this video with the grand finale. I want to talk about Barbara Westchester. Barbara Westchester is an animated film. It's like feature-length film, indie animated project created by Johnny Peppers. I believe in 2022 is when it first came out, and then it was privated off of YouTube for a while to tour at festivals, and now it is back online. This is the reason I wanted to make this video. This film. I recently rewatched it after it ended its festival run, and it's been in my head for weeks. Barbara Westchester follows the titled named character, Barber, and it follows them going on a mission, not really a mission, but like a story about self-discovery and young adulthood. There are a lot of themes about religious trauma, like personal identity, like sexual fluidity and gender identity. There's a lot of themes about mental illness and just a lot of other stuff that you are going to be confronted with as a young adult, especially as a creative person going into some sort of artistic or animation industry. This is the kind of thing that you're going to have to grapple with growing up, especially if you had a lot of not great things buzzing around your head when you were younger. The film opens with a very nice song. All of the songs in this movie are really nice, and some of them like sit really close to my heart after I watch this movie. I need to download the OST sometimes because the music composed for this movie is phenomenal. And I'm going to call it a movie because that's what it is. I am aware that this is an indie animated project, but it is like an hour and a half long. You can watch this and you should make a night out of it. Like get a bunch of your friends, sit down and just enjoy it. I always like to watch it on a TV. Like, I just feel bad watching it on a phone because I feel like it deserves to be on a big screen. Whenever I show my friends this film, I can't stop just babbling on and on between scenes. But I also like to just shut the fuck up and enjoy the quiet moments. This film changed my brain chemistry. I've said it before, but I mean it the most with this one. It is a masterpiece. I know that Johnny Peppers has made a few other animated projects. I believe that some of them even take place in the same universe, or at least the same canon as Barbara Westchester, from what I've heard from friends. And I really need to check them out when I have time to like sit down and put all of my focus into it, because that's something I don't want to half-ass. I really admire his work ethic and his drive. There are also a ton of other indie animators and creators who cameo in this film. There are segments in the movie where they're going to be watching TV and like the advertisement playing on TV, that's made by another indie animator. Like, it's really cool. And they also have a ton of mixed media segments. Whenever a character is telling a story, sometimes the animation medium and style will change, and it'll all be done by like a completely different person, a different artist, and it's beautiful. I really like it. There are so many quirks in this animation style that you won't get with like mainstream like media. There are so many things that you can only get in an independent project like this. For instance, all of the characters, mostly Barber, like when they blink one eye at a time, and there's like a little malimba sound. I don't know if I said that right. It's like a little chime, and it's just something so small, but they do it throughout the entire fucking runtime, and it means so much to me. It's such a fun little detail that gives the animation so much personality. There are moments in this film that like still make me cry, even though I know they're coming every time. I don't want to spoil too much of this because I really think that this is something that you should experience for yourself. I say that a lot. I say it about a lot of the things we've talked about in this video, because I'm a believer in you should watch something to form your own opinion on it before listening to everyone else's takes. I don't want to be the guy who tells you about something and then just gives you a summary of it, and then you're like, well, because I heard the summary from that guy on the internet, I don't need to watch the media for myself now. I can form all of my opinions based on the summary that I heard in a video essay on YouTube. I know that people do that. I know who you are. This is not something that you should do that with. I am very glad, on one hand, that there are no giant video essays about Barbara Westchester, because I don't want some guy in their bedroom to summarize the movie for people and then have that be their experience with this piece of media. I want their core experience with this movie to be watching it and just experiencing it. I don't want people to just listen to a summary or a synopsis and say, oh yeah, that's a really good film, I heard so-and-so talking about it, and then just repeat and parrot everything I say. Speaking of parrots, that's a big part of this film. There's an actual coherent plot line in this movie, aside from all of the incredible character work. The film is mostly following Barber, like again, on their journey through young adulthood and how they navigate all of this trauma and all of this stuff going on in their small town. When they get home from what I presume is college, off the top of my head, they get off the bus and they come home to stay with their parents and their family for a bit. Their dad is a religious pastor who does sermons for some kind of like made-up god, and he's very, very into it. And Barber is really not, because Barber is passionate about science, and Barber really likes to study space. They want to work for NASA someday. This is why they work in the town observatory, like the water tower, which is also where the mayor's office is. The mayor is my favorite character in the entire fucking film. She, I don't know the mayor's pronouns off the top of my head. I just think of them as the funny guy with the house water tower head. I really like the mayor's character animation. It's so exaggerated and just cartoony. It's shamelessly cartoony. And a lot of things about this film are, which is just the kind of animation I love. I like projects that, I like animation that embraces the fact that it's animation. I don't want realism. I want cartoons. Barber even goes to clean the telescope lens at the observatory, and the mayor is currently trying to work on an evil scheme in the town involving parrots and clay, and I will not tell you anything else about the evil scheme. You will have to watch it. But while the mayor is trying to work on their evil scheme, Barber keeps getting in the way because they're smart and they might figure something out, so the mayor has to send Barber away. So, in the midst of all this family drama and conflict with their father, their mother, and I think their siblings, over all of this religious stuff and this trauma, and all of the conflict about them still wanting to be passionate about space while they're staying at home in their hometown, then the mayor decides to give Barber an internship at NASA and ships them away to NASA. And when Barber gets to NASA headquarters, everything seems a bit off. And eventually, it's because they find out that space is fucking fake. Space is fake, they made it up, they just project it up in the sky. The sky is just a big canvas they project shit onto. At NASA, they just have 4 guys who wear the NASA letters on their shirt, and they just sit around there playing board games all day. So there's nothing for Barber to do because they don't do anything at NASA. And this shatters Barber's entire worldview and sets them spiraling, even more so than they already were at the beginning of the film. And everything just goes off the rails from there. That is the most I will give you, plot-wise, because it's a film you really have to experience, because so much of the movie is just getting to know each of these characters and getting to hear them tell you and tell Barber their life stories, giving advice, and just talking through your feelings. There's a moment near the end of the film where Barber literally sheds and crawls out of their own skin, and the character is normally not super emotional, but after crawling out of their skin, they have a visceral reaction, like a full-on breakdown where they're crying, and I know that there are memes about, the realistic depiction of a panic attack in animation. I am aware. Thanks, Puss in Boots. I'm aware. That scene will always make me cry. That scene changed me. I am so moved by the raw emotion in the scenes like that. The few times where Barber actually presents their emotions, and after bottling so much up and just trying to be an adult for so long, the few moments where they just break, it's so raw and visceral. I feel right along with them. I feel that pain, and I think that that's incredible that some YouTube video you can watch for free right now, and it doesn't even have 1 million views. It just has 200K, maybe less than 300K at the time I'm making this video, views on YouTube, and you can just watch it for free. And no one talks about it, no one posts about it, and it's criminal. It's criminally underrated. If you take anything away from this video, I want you to watch Barber Westchester, and I want you to talk about it and share it, and I want people to go in the comments below that film and also this video and share some of your own experiences where you've been touched by animation or how you felt watching that film.
Oh yeah, okay, so you said earlier that, a big reason you liked all the space stuff was, it provided an escape, so you didn't have to deal with the stuff in your home. And I'm sorry if I'm inserting my ideals too much here, but maybe it's time to confront the problems you have down here instead of trying to distract yourself with stuff that, even if it was real, wouldn't have much of an impact on you anyway. That's just what I think, though.
Hey! It's just a masterpiece, probably one of the most underrated pieces of indie animation that will ever exist, and I cannot think of anything that has made me feel emotions the way that film has. So, Johnny Peppers, you're my man. I respect you so goddamn much, and I hope that you can go on to create even more wild things, because I love your work. And now I need to make a Barber Westchester Sona. Come on, Barber heads, rise up. I need the Rainbot Barber Sona. I need to know what fucked up cartoon character I'd be in that world. With that being said, I believe that we are done. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, thank you so much for sitting and listening to me on this unscripted rant. I like making these videos that are just me sitting here talking about something without a script, because I feel like I can give you a more authentic talk and a more genuine depiction of how I feel about a piece of media when I'm not reading a script. I'm aware it's a bit less polished when I do this, and I tend to ramble, but when I'm passionate about something, I feel like that's not a bad thing. So I hope you have a colorful, fantabulous evening, and I will see you all in the next video when I begin working on that Craig McCracken video essay. And stay tuned for more information about the indie animated pilot that I'm working on. Now that I've done more animation for school, I can apply what I've learned making a sequential artwork project, which is Welcome to Dreamworld isn't animated, it's sequential art, and then I've made webcomics, and Welcome to Dreamworld is on season 2 right now, so I have a lot of experience producing. We are now, as many of you know, we are now producing an actual fully animated project. It will be an animated pilot, about 11 minutes long. The epilogue of endings, we did a really funny shitpost as an animation test to announce it, so come back on May 4th for more information about that, because if you're still here, I do think that it's something you will be interested in. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.